had another dream. Young Palmer says, what was it this time, Mr. Bates? He said, well, I was on a ship. We were sailing into a port called Battle Creek. Yeah, Dan Palmer probably just laughed and said, only you, Captain Bates, would think there's an ocean in the middle of Michigan. Obviously, we don't have one here. But he says, there's a town called Battle Creek. So Joseph Bates says, well, how do I get there? He was told to get on the early morning mail train and he could be there yet that day. So that's what he did. Now, when he got here to Battle Creek, it was a town between 1,500 and 2,000 people. He had no idea whatsoever why the Lord was sending him here, but he had this impression, almost like with the Lord speaking in his ear, go talk to the postmaster. Go talk to the postmaster. So he walks into the post office. He says to the postmaster, a man by the name of Leonard Stewart, sir, I am looking for the most honest man in Battle Creek. See, he thought if he told his Sabbath message to that most honest man, that man would have to accept it out of honesty. The postmaster says, and you're looking for a man by the name of David Hewitt. See, everybody in Battle Creek knew David Hewitt for his honesty. He was a peddler, a door-to-door salesman. And if he should make a mistake, even if it was just for 1 penny, he'd stop what he was doing, he'd walk back to make it right before he continued the business. He even had the nickname Penny Hewitt. Well, that really excited Joseph Bates again. So he says, well, where do I find this Penny Hewitt? He's told they had a house in the corner of Cass and Van Buren. Now that intersection's only about a quarter of a mile over that way. So once again, Joseph Bates grabs his PowerPoints, he rolls them up, he puts them underneath his arms, and he heads off down the street. Now David and Hewitt were just sitting down for breakfast that morning when... So David Hewitt opens the door, and there stood Joseph Bates. He introduced himself, hello, my name is Joseph Bates, and I have been told, sir, that you are the most honest man in Battle Creek. If that is true, I have a message for you. You know, nowadays, we probably just want to let people come walking into our houses. And maybe they wouldn't have back then either. But David Hewitt, remember the verse in the Bible, Hebrews 13:2, about entertaining strangers, because they could be angels unaware. So he invited Joseph Bates in to have breakfast with him and Olive. So they had a wonderful breakfast together. But the whole time, David Hewitt's trying to size up this Joseph Bates. Who is he and what's he all about? Finally, at the end of breakfast, he must have sized up pretty good because he says, well, Mr. Bates, now would you like to lead us in morning worship? Oh, Joseph Bates was an evangelist. If you didn't want sermons, that was the wrong question to ask. Up went his PowerPoints and he started to preach. He preached all morning. He preached all afternoon. He preached on into the evening. And that night, when morning worship got done, David and Olive Hewitt were the first Sabbath-keeping Adventists here in Battle Creek, Michigan. When James L. White came to Battle Creek just 3 years later in 1855 with the Review and Herald staff, there was a small congregation of Sabbath-keeping Adventists meeting at the Hewitt home. All right, now comes quiz time. I don't know what happened to the other ones, but any idea what this is?
Yeah, turn it up so I can see it.
A giant fish, maybe?
I hear that quite often. No.
Hang on, don't say anything.
Quite often, some of my other guess is the giant egg whisk. That'd be enough for the whole
giant
group.
egg whisk.
Kids quite often tell me this looks like a thing for take a pizza out of the oven.
Yeah.
Probably would have worked, but they didn't have pizzas back in the 1850s. We don't want to go back in those days.
Or a snowshoe would have had the handle.
I hear
on it.
that
So
quite often
I
too. But
ruled
usually
that
those
out
people
with
are
the
from
handle
Ohio.
on it.
No, it's not snowshoe. Quite often people from other states, they say this looks like a fly swatter. Now, I'm not sure how big they are from the flies are where you come from, but our flies out here in Michigan aren't this big. Possibly our mosquito, which is our state bird, but not our fly. No, this is the original vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner?
What they do is they take their carpets and hang off on the clothesline, and they beat the dust out. Parents had another name for them, something called a child motivator. That's probably the
Child
secondary use.
motivator.
That's probably secondary use for them back in
Can't
those days.
do that no more these days.
Yeah, but you have to be used political correct ways to call it. All right, this here was the toaster. Put your slice of bread on here, your slice of cheese, your next slice of bread. You had your Saturday night grilled cheese sandwich. Now this here is an ads. Now, obviously, logs don't go square in the forest, but you can see that's how this cabin was built in the 1850s because you can still see the ads marks in the wood right here. Now, if you wanted butter for your toast in the morning,
I know what that is.
yeah, you didn't go out
My
to
aunt
the
had one of
supermarket.
those.
You milk your cow, you skimmed your cream off, you put your cream in the chocolate butter churn, you put the lid on there, and then you got your most energetic child making butter for the family. Because I'm told this is a 1 to 3 hour process to turn that cream
It's a
into butter.
long process.
Yeah, so you had to do that too, huh?
No, I didn't do it. The aunt told me about it.
Oh, you just...
I'm not that old.
Well, I don't know, you're from Texas, you know, maybe that's... The incredible thing about this 1850 cabin was, though, that it did have running water.
Where did you get
Once
the water?
again, to feed that most energetic child.
Oh no.
running with the
Lay this on
water.
their shoulders, you tell them the Kalamazoo River's a quarter of a mile over that way. Would you run and get us some water? Hence, they're running water.
Running the water over there. I saw the little
Then where they,
river you got over there.
where's their
Now the
party?
flat irons. Those that use flat irons tell me typically they would have 3 or more of these things because they cool off quicker than they heat up.
My
So
mother's
they'd
got
be
one
ironing
of
with the
those.
one. When it get cold, they take that over the stove, unwrap the towel from that one, wrap it around this one here, take a rag to wipe it off, and continue to go on with their ironing. And then this right here,
It's the party?
this
That's the
was the
bathtub.
bathtub.
That's it.
Now, because of the running water situation, when this bathtub got filled, it got filled one time for the entire family. Guess who took their bath first?
The mother?
Dad.
The dad?
And why was Dad the first one to take his bath? He was the breadwinner. He was the most important
The
person in the family.
breadwinner. That's right.
Now, guess who took their bath last?
Mom.
The
Baby,
ba-
the youngest one in the family. Remember again that 40 years life expectancy, they were killing their kids in the bathwater because they didn't understand germs. Because yes, Dad would be the first one taking his bath. Dad may have been working out in the barn